When was the last time we've seen a redesigned pickup? I want to say the Ford Super Duty was the last one, and we can all agree that that 2023 model year was not a complete redesign because we have the same bed and the same cabs, which seem to be a trend now for pickups. They don't do a complete redesign, especially now that the cabs have gotten so much bigger. But the last time we've seen a new Silverado was back in 2018. Fast forward to 2022, we saw a refresh, and now they're looking to do a complete redesign for 2027. So I want to go over some of the changes they're going to make. I have a laundry list of things I hope they do, but there are some things that they absolutely have to do to continue to compete in this segment. So we'll discuss that. I also know that there's potentially 2 new V8 options, which is huge news because you guys know GM is very slow to update their powertrain. So that is good news. Let's go ahead and read an article from GM Authority. They're the ones pretty much discussing these changes, and they have a lot of information to discuss. GM Authority has been reporting a lot on this 2027 Silverado. So they actually have some photos here. I guess one of their readers sent them in these photos. And it says here the body configuration is a crew cab short box layout, and although it's heavily camouflaged, a few updates are still visible. The front end features placeholder headlights mounted lower than those on the current model, along with new vertical daytime running lights, fog lights, and a front facing camera. So you can see those vertical daytime running lights, fog lights right here. I assume this is where that camera is going to go. You can kind of see some of the grille in here. Now it goes on to say the truck's stance appears to be more level, and it may also be equipped with a Z71 off-road package given the aggressive tires spotted in the corners. Further details include revised mirrors with vertically mounted LED perimeter lighting and black running boards up top. We notice a new antenna setup. So yeah, the antenna was here. Now we don't see that. Now here's another look at the truck out back, and you can kind of see it does look slightly more level. And it goes on to say, moving around to the rear, we find a redesigned rear sliding window. Oh yeah, that is totally different actually. It looks like it's all glass here, which now has rounded corners and lacks the plastic trim seen on current models. The tail lights appear to use a modern LED signature, and the rear bumper still features a corner step and tow hitch receiver. Also of note is a quad tip exhaust, which adds a sportier look and has been seen on other GM vehicles like the Corvette, Stingray, and the Tahoe. So yeah, those quad exhaust tips look really nice. I like that versus what's currently available. You can see those corner steps still visible. It looks like you're going to get LED license plate lights too for this model year, by the way. They still have the lock for the spare tire. That's your receiver hitch. And this looks to be like a Z71 truck, because normally if it was a ZR2 they would have an off-road tire under here. But just take note of the bumper too. It does look like it sits slightly higher, but it could just be because of the quad tips there. Under the hood, the 2027 Chevy Silverado will debut GM's 6th generation small block V8, expected to improve fuel efficiency and performance. Existing engine options are the Turbomax, Duramax, which will likely return, and the plug-in hybrid variant is also expected with the first 2 years of launch. Under the skin, the 2027 Chevy Silverado will ride on an updated T1-2 platform, an evolution of the current T1 architecture. Now I know that there's not a lot of information here, but stay tuned. There is another article that they have that shows a big announcement. But before we get there, I want to discuss this real quickly. What is the biggest complaint that GM has with their trucks and SUVs? You guys know what it is. It's the seats. Everyone complains about how stiff the seats are in GM. GM is at the highest level of stiffness. Ford is definitely the softest seats. But if GM can get somewhere in the middle between Ford seats and their current seats, I think they'd be perfect. I personally like how stiff their seats are because they don't hurt my lower back at all, even when I'm in the truck for hours at a time. And I've done cross-country trips between my Ram truck in the GM truck, and I feel like the GM seats are better for me. And that's the same thing goes for my mattress. I have a stiffer mattress simply because of that. The one I had before was too soft, hurt my lower back. So with that being said, they have to fix the seats. If they don't do anything else, I think that would be the biggest update. They need to announce that when they do the press release, that they change the seats. And they need to make them bigger too. If you've ever sat inside of a Toyota Tundra, their seat cushions are huge. It's almost like a lazy boy. And they need to do something similar to that. Now, obviously, wax coating on the frame is probably going to be going away simply because the Chevy Colorado and the GMC Canyon have an E-coated frame now. They'll probably give the Silverado the same thing for sure. But the last thing I have to mention, okay, Toyota Tundra has a 32.2 gallon fuel tank. Ford F-150 has a 36 gallon fuel tank. And Ram has an optional 33 gallon fuel tank, I believe. So what is GM's? 24 gallon. Can't even update it. Now, if you have the 3-liter Duramax and you're on the highway a lot, that's not a big deal. But if you have the 6.2 liter and you do a lot of city driving, it's a big deal. You're gonna go to that fuel station probably a couple times a week simply because of how small that fuel tank is. So I hope GM updates that fuel tank. Those are probably the 3 biggest things I see. For the most part, GM has really good packaging on their trucks. So as long as they stay true to what they've always done, they shouldn't have any problems. But let's check out this big update that they have here. It looks like the next generation Silverado is going to get a dual pane sunroof. So buyers have been calling for a larger sunroof, something to rival the expansive panoramic options offered by Ford, Ram, and Toyota. Nevertheless, the previous K2 generation and current T1-based Silverado 1500 have remained limited to the modest single pane sunroof above the front seats. Now it's looking as though that may finally change with the next generation, as new spy shots reveal signs of a significant upgrade just above the cabin, namely a massive new 2027 Silverado sunroof. So you can see right here, it looks to be very true. Now, recent images of camouflage 2027 Silverado prototype show a black vinyl covering across the roofline. There's also a visible ridge position where the 2 glass panels of a sunroof would typically meet, suggesting that a large dual pane sunroof is currently under development. If confirmed, this would mark a major upgrade for the Silverado 1500, especially in the face of similar offerings from rivals like the Ford F-150, Ram 1500, and Toyota Tundra. So they're pretty much going to explain what a dual pane is, so yeah, I'm not going to read this to you. But down below it says, the current T1 base Silverado only offers a small sunroof, as the cab's roof structure wasn't engineered to accommodate an oversized sunroof spanning both the first and second rows. Now with the forthcoming launch of the next gen 2027 Silverado, it's looking like that may change. So the cab does look very similar to what it is now, but they probably decided to wait so they could reinforce it. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about this one. And I think that most guys buying these high trim levels are going to be really excited about this extra option here. So yes, thank you GM for putting this sunroof into the works, hopefully. Now, like I said, it does look like it's definitely going to be a dual pane sunroof on this truck, so we'll have to wait and see what really happens. But yes, super exciting stuff. And as these updates come out, I'll try to continue to do videos around it. I'm actually excited to see what this truck's going to be. I'm hoping that they will fix the seats for sure. If the cab doesn't grow in size a little bit though, they probably won't have the room for larger seats, so that might be an issue for that. But yes, hopefully they will get rid of the wax coating. I personally have found the wax coating to be fine because it's just wax coating. You can just find some undercoating that matches it, and you can just do touch up every year. You just don't want to wait too long. You have to make sure you spray it, because once that wax coating scrapes off, it's just bare metal, so there's nothing protecting it. Same thing goes for e-coating. E-coating over time does wear off too, so you have to sometimes go in there and sand it down and spray it. So yes, it's the same thing. That's why I've kind of learned to just live with the wax coating. The only thing that sucks about it is if you work on your truck yourself, you're just constantly dirty because of that greasy substance basically. But I hope you guys liked the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, follow these videos, and yeah, I'm like I said, hopefully as these trucks make their way to the dealership soon, in a couple years, we'll be doing some reviews on them too. Peace.